From the PSIA-AASI Satellite Studios in Corvallis, Oregon, I'm George Thomas. You're listening to First Chair. What a great chat we have coming up with team member Lyndsey Stevens. Lyndsey, first of all, thank you for taking the time to chat with us, but I'm really impressed with what you've just done.
Thanks, George. It's definitely quite a feat, and I learned so much through the process that I just went through.
I mean, as a team member, you don't really need to go out and learn anymore because you know it all, right?
I totally disagree with that statement, George. We promote lifelong learning in PSIA-AASI, and I'm a firm believer that you can never stop learning. There's always new innovation to what we're doing. There's, even just on the day-to-day, if you're just learning something new about your student or somebody you're interacting with, we're still learning. And I think it's, it's a really powerful thing to have that mindset of continuing to be a lifelong learner. Helps us be a little bit more open-minded and helps us grow our own skills and helps other people grow their skills as well.
So I guess we should talk about what you just accomplished, which was Lyndsey recently passed her level 3 adaptive. And when was that spark of interest there? Is that something you've been working with in your entire career?
That pathway probably started about a decade ago when I started working at Vail. I was recruited into working with the Vail Vets program. And, it wasn't something that I particularly sought out. It was just something that somebody was like, hey, you should come do this program. It's really fun. And so I did the program for a week, worked with somebody who had an amputated leg on his right leg. And the whole lesson, the week, was just so fun. And this person was kind of beginner when I met them. By the end of the week, he was carving on blue rungs, and it was really, really fun to figure out how we could get him to that point. And that's what really sparked my interest in adaptive, was just being recruited and the experience that I had working with somebody who had a little bit more adversity to work with than most people. And just seeing how we could make that work and think outside of the box a little bit of the traditional maybe rules to snowboarding that sometimes we get stuck in. It was so much fun. Just trying some different movements and seeing what worked for this rider to be able to accomplish what he did.
How did that help you in your career as an instructor, getting into the adaptive side? It really seems like it would open up a whole new venue for you.
I think what it did was helped me to be more open-minded about what was possible. I think sometimes, and I definitely saw myself do this in my early instructing days, but I kind of got into this mindset of there's one way to do snowboarding, and this is the perfect technique, and this is the only way we can make this board perform in this way. And I think I got stuck there for a little while early in my career as I was trying to figure out cause-effect relationships and how those created outcomes. But what I started to notice, especially teaching in the adaptive world, is that there's multiple ways to move the body to get the snowboard to create a performance and come up with the same or similar outcomes.
Yeah. Just listening to you there, I wonder, did that make you a better rider? Not just instructor, but do you feel like that helped you with your riding skills?
Yeah, absolutely. It opened a lot of doors for me in that sense, because I was able to change up what I was doing, and it made me more open to feedback as well. Whereas I used to be kind of defensive and I'd be like, no, this is the way, this is the only way to do this thing. And then when I started to realize no, there's multiple ways to do something, it made when I got feedback from someone like any of my coaches or peers at Vail, I would be like, oh, okay, I'm going to try that. There is more than one way, and let's try this and see what happens.
So what is it like, switching gears here a little bit? You've made the national team. You're a team member, and now you're going for a level 3 in a different discipline. And I mean, I remember going for my 3 years ago, but oh my gosh, it was the best year of skiing and instructing that I've ever had. It was just, I lived and breathed it. And was always working to get better that year. And I just loved having that goal, but it's all consuming. What's it like at your level to then prepare for a level 3 in a different category? Because you've got high expectations, I'm sure. It's like, oh my gosh, this person in our exam is already on the team. What was that like for you, just in general? I almost wonder if you felt more pressure.
Definitely felt more pressure. And I also wanted to make sure that I was treating the examiner with respect, because the examiner here in Rocky Mountain is Christina Bruno, my former teammate. And she is amazing. She's been a mentor to me since I started in the adaptive world. I remember when I took Adaptive 1, she was auditing the assessment. And so it was kind of cool to like watch her grow through her career. At the same time, I was kind of like following along with her and had her as a mentor, and I'm super, super grateful. I definitely had a conversation with her where I was like, hey, like, if I'm not there, I know you have the integrity to tell me that. And I know that, like, it probably feels really weird. If I'm not going to be successful at this assessment, I want you to know that, like, I'm going to receive that information with complete respect of you. And I don't want you to feel like it has to be an uncomfortable situation. And just disclaiming that to make sure that somebody feels at ease with how I'm going to react to something, even if it's not the news that I want.
Which is how we should all go into our exams.
Right. And that, I think, took some pressure off of me, because, like, I just really don't want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable in a situation. Definitely had some pressure as far as, like, yeah, I want to be successful at this. I want to be a good role model to others who might be going for any Cert 3 process or any certification process, how to prepare, and, being that role model in, like, not just going for the assessment, but the whole journey along the way. And there was a lot of studying to it. We did a Monday night Zoom call weekly, where we were watching different riders, and doing movement analysis practice on those riders. We were studying, the different diagnoses that are possible. We're studying just all sorts of things. And the training group I was with this season, there's 4 people. And we got really close by the end of the season because we were working together so much. And I think that made a huge difference in the amount of pressure, because we all knew each other so well and kind of created this supportive environment for each other. Every person in that group brought a skill set and a strength that helped somebody else, which was a really, really cool thing to see. And it grew a lot. We, over the season, from the start to the finish, we did the prep in December, and everybody was kind of meeting each other for the first time in that group. But it was really cool to see the trust grow from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and how we started, like, listening to each other more, being more receptive to feedback from each other. that was a really, really cool experience, and also helped reduce the amount of pressure that was going on by the time the assessment came around.
And were you all from Vail, or was that a group kind of from all over?
Two of us were from Vail, and then we had one person from Breck and one person from Aspen.
Oh, wow. So, and what was the size of the Adaptive Level III group that went through the? I keep calling it an exam. They've always been exams. I know it's an assessment.
Right. Yeah. So there was just the four of us in that assessment. What was really cool, and I didn't know this until Christina announced it at results, but she said it was the first snowboard level 3, adaptive level 3 assessment in over 10 years in Rocky Mountain. So it was really, really cool to have that opportunity.
So to have the four of you that were in that assessment studying together since December, that must have been the most supportive group. What an amazing experience. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, everyone in the group was super motivated and supportive and like dedicated. Yeah, everybody put the work in that was necessary. And the work is necessary. I think it's really important to be, studying all season and make that a weekly practice. Those assessments are putting the official stamp on the fact that we are capable and qualified because of what we've been doing, what the work has been so far. It's not the time to say like, oh, this is what I can now do because I just got this certificate. The certificate is saying that like, this is what we're already capable of. And that's, that comes with a lot of studying and practice and dedication all season or more, more than a season for sure with this one.
I've got to say, with that kind of preparation and work, I really feel that the assessment experience is fun because you go in there having put in that type of effort and preparation. You're really going in there doing what you do well, and that's your opportunity to shine.
Yeah, it was super fun. We actually had a clinic day at Vail where we were working with sit skis, and one of the assessment activities we had to do was to tether somebody in a sit ski, in either a bi-ski or a mono ski, and it had to be at least 50 pounds. So we had this practice dummy. The clinic day ended up being a powder day. We had about 8 inches of powder, fresh powder that day. And so it was really challenging. It was extremely challenging to figure out how to like just tether the practice dummy in these snow conditions. And then people were coming up from all over the mountain. They were like, what are you guys doing? That, we thought that was a real person in there with no hat and no shoes on. So, it's things like that make it really fun. But it's also the challenge of trying to just figure out what the puzzle is and trying to figure out how to make the equipment work with the skills that you have available to you.
So during the assessment, were there ever times where you were like, oh my gosh, I'm really nervous? Or was it just, you're out there doing what you do?
Some of it was like, oh yeah, I've got this. I'm out here doing what I do. And there was definitely moments where I got the butterflies in my tummy. Okay. I was like, oh, I don't know.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I don't think that nervousness ever really goes away in any assessment, no matter how much you prepare. I think of it as a scale. The more you prepare, the more you reduce your level of anxiety. But that anxiety never really gets to like 0%. At least not for me. Maybe for others it does.
Is this going to change your teaching goals throughout the coming season? How do you see this changing your career trajectory?
So I was kind of looking at numbers, and somebody asked, like, what percentage of adaptive lessons do you teach? And I looked, and I teach about 5% of adaptive lessons a season. So I want to increase that number to 10 or 15% for the season. And I think I was already able to do that this year. Just getting a little bit more experience at this point. I think it's really great to be an option and to, for someone else, right? To know that, like, when there's a guest that's going to show up, that there's somebody available that has the skill set to help them. I think that's what's the most important to me, is to have that availability for someone else.
What are you most looking forward to over the summer in conclusion?
This summer, I'm just keeping at the books and keeping at, like, looking up information and finding more information, continuing that lifelong learner process to figure out more and more. There's definitely things that, like, when I went through that assessment with Christina, there were definitely weaknesses that were highlighted for my own skill set. I had strengths in some areas and I had weaknesses in some areas. And the weakness that I need to build upon is my knowledge of diagnoses and memorization of really scientific medical terms. I have a hard time with that. So that's kind of like what I know that I can work on over the summer while I'm not on snow.
Lyndsey, it's great having you on. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today, and look forward to many more of these with you throughout your career.
Thanks, George.
From the PSIA-AASI Satellite Studios in Corvallis, Oregon, I'm George Thomas.